time disappears. Each segment has a particular start and end time. I took the shroom and sat outside on a bench in the neighborhood communal area. I didn't know what to expect and began to just sit and appreciate nature. During my trips, the sky speaks to me. The clouds were in perfect order for the entirety of my trip. When it became too hot on my back, there was a cloud ready to cover the sun right when I began to have the thought. And it moved again when I was ready to feel the sun. I began to think to myself, oh, wow, the sky loves me. So I felt the need to cry. But I felt as though God was telling me, I cry too much and it's enough with the theatrics. After I had that thought, I told myself, maybe this isn't even what the trip is about, so why are you ready to be dramatic? Because I felt I was forcing an intention. Immediately after, an 18-year-old boy I previously saw outside the window the day before appeared with his little brother. They sat on the benches approximately 10 feet in front of me. The brother sat on a bench away from his big brother. I immediately knew I was meant to sit and speak with them. So I walked towards them and waved at the little brother and then sat with the 18-year-old and asked, is this weird? He said, no. Almost too quickly, despite the nonchalant act most boys his age perform as a way to protect perception. I won't go into detail what we spoke about, but it was clear that the boy was losing his soul to this world because he did not have the eyes to see his connection to it, nor had the environment to nurture his connection. His story was similar to mine in terms of familial matters and childhood upbringing, bastardization, and religious indoctrination. Plus, our age difference led me to know what to say in our brief moments talking. He was lost and angry, and I knew I had to plant a seed to awaken what his soul already knew through natural conversation. I called over his brother because it was obvious they did not have a good relationship, and I didn't want him to be alone. The older one insulted him a lot and was only using him to have their mother allow him to come outside so he could smoke weed. It was easy to put together where his wounds lie based on patterns I've seen over and over in the Black community. Fatherless with a burdened mother who has no choice but to lean on the firstborn son to pick up the slack where the father does not, because he is either dead or has no will to take care of a family created through more lust than love. The story most African American children are forced into because of the origins of our tribe in this country set the foundation and completely discombobulated the structure of the Black family across the nation. It's a curse that I see in most families. I can't escape the energetic density of what happened, even if I try. He and his brother goes back to the house because his mother calls him for whatever reason. He asks, will you still be out here? I said yes. He says that he will be back. Again, he is being nonchalant, but I know his soul is thirsty for whatever it thinks I have to tell it, even if he doesn't know it. It's in his curiosity. He leaves and the segment ends. Now I am in the mode of waiting for him to return so I can save him. I sat at the table in the hot sun whose sky is no longer catering to my needs. The shroom intensifies the sensation of the heat, and I tell myself, I need to get up and get a drink in the house. I'm going to pass out with no one here to help me. But on the other hand, this boy will come back and think that I was not there and abandon him with a lie just like his father and probably many others. So I was left to a choice, abandon myself or abandon him. I became paralyzed because this was a new lesson, but I wasn't sure for who. I have spent most of my life sacrificing for others, especially men, thinking I needed to save everyone and stopping my life in my needs for a male figure, whether it was my father or a romantic partner. It's a vicious cycle of love and fear most of us suffer from. I pace the floor back and forth, overthinking the choice. He will come back. He will make the choice to come back. When will the day be where two people mutually choose to break the cycle? Will he choose to abandon me and repeat the cycle? Will he choose to abandon me and repeat mechanisms of his father? Or will he be a man of his word? How can people hurt by trauma and still be the thing that hurt them? We both know they can, and we both know they will. These are the thoughts I am now speaking out loud to myself as I am pacing the ground in a slow, pondering manner. I realized the thuds of my heels into the ground became very loud and apparent to me in my head as they echoed and shook the ground. I must have been angry with these thoughts and hadn't realized. It also occurred to me that I just referred to myself as two people. A high form of me wrestling with the lower, the segment ends. I looked up and I saw four crows on the house in front of me. When I noticed, the leader flew down in front of my eye to my eye level and landed on the entrance of where the boy went. The other three followed it. It happened in slow motion. Then to the right, at least four more flew in that direction. I didn't even notice they were there. I knew it meant something, but I didn't know what at this point in time. I stopped and thought to myself, well, what would you be doing if you weren't waiting for him? I didn't know the answer and I felt pathetic. I said, I would probably walk in the grass or something. So I started to walk in the grass. It was then I noticed the patch of grass on the middle of the dry and having. I noticed the patch of grass on the middle was dry and having a hard time growing any grass, but all the grass around it was very nourished and abundant. It immediately made me think about the apartments where I lived in Brooklyn. In the middle is public housing, where very little care is put into it to make a comfortable living environment unless you do it yourself. Surrounding them are $1 million homes that are occupied by white classmen because they have generational wealth from being descendants of slave owners and simply not having as many roadblocks for being socially accepted into power, while we have generational curses from being descendants of slaves and consistently blocked in the system to evolve. Our families are so broken and angry all because our power was stripped and our families were destroyed by the same system, and yet we still prevail through sheer love that has not been completely lost through the DNA. Even in our anger and pain, we are still tied together through love, an invisible string, a faint heartbeat that requires quietness to notice. And just like in the dry dirt, there were still signs that there was life, even if we are not watered the same as the people in our surroundings. So a song began to fall from my lips. It felt as though the ground I stood on used me as a vessel for this song. It sang, I need you to cry. I need you to cry on me. I need you to cry on me. I need you to cry on me. Over and over in the most bellowing, melancholy tone, the way the organ echoes in a hollow church, I walked back and forth over the dry land in tears, doing what it asked me to do. I simultaneously knew the song was also from me. I yearned for the boy to return and feed me his sorrow so he could be free. I sang and I cried harder and harder down into the earth and up into the heavens. Give me your pain and I will water us both. And then your words, my Russian friend said this to me. Your words echoed in my head. Your heart is capable of containing the whole world with its sorrow. I fall to the ground and sobbed. But for this moment, I was slightly too squeamish to make contact with the earth because I forgot we are connected. But now I am rubbing its surface with my entire palm, almost as if the ground itself is feeling the pain I am enduring for all of us. I use whatever tears are falling from my face and putting them into the dirt, hoping it's enough. Towards the end, I speak an affirmation. It will rain on us again, and it will be good. I speak it 3 times. It will rain on us again, and it will be good. It will rain on us again, and it will be good. I speak it 3 times. I stand up, and the segment ends. I go to sit over the bench, then decide to let the ants play in my toes. I lay in the grass to remind myself we are connected. Being from the city, it feels like in a sense, dirty. Even though I know it's not, but that mindset is nowhere to live, so I humbled myself, and it was nice. I got up and realized what just occurred and said, oh yeah, I'm definitely tripping. And I'm glad he did not see that. I told him before he left that I was on the trip and he didn't peek yet. But I learned the lesson of not stopping my life to wait to save others, and I created a song and connected with the earth. It would not have happened otherwise if I didn't stop to think to myself, what would you be doing if you weren't waiting for him? I'd be creating. I checked my phone and realized about 2 hours went by and he hasn't returned. At this point, it's reasonable for me to go and worry about myself because no one would expect someone to wait 2 hours for anything unspoken. So I went to the house and I got some coconut water. I washed my face and arms of the tears and dirt. When I was relaxed again, I looked out the window and there he was, sitting on the chair way opposite of the one we were on previously. I knew he sat there intentionally because I told him I saw him out that window the day before. He wanted me to see him. He came back and I didn't stop life for it. I put my shoes on, walked to the seat with my water in hand. He said he got there 5 minutes ago, the time he was there alone. We talked more in depth about his family and how he feels dependent on weed, his views on people in the world, which he describes it to be a piece of shit. We talked there was a storm. As we talked, there was a storm in the distance behind him. The sun was still shining, and yet a random cloud filled with lightning was there, plain for me to see that he was angry. The sky talks to me. Yes, everyone is a piece of shit, but that piece of shit is a piece of shit because someone was a piece of shit to them, who was a piece of shit to them, who was a piece of shit to them, and so forth. Eventually, we have to break the cycle and choose better. The earth is cleansing itself. It will get ugly before it gets pretty, and just stay on the side of love. That makes sense, he responds. We talk more and we laugh. A few hours go by before he gets up to help his mother. He asks again, will you be out here? I say, I'll come back out, or come over if you want. He responds, just knock? I say, yeah, just knock. I go home to take a shower as the trip comes to an end. I looked for pajamas I bought, but realized most of my clothes were too revealing to be appropriate for the presence of an 18-year-old boy. Am I on there? Okay. Maybe next time I'll finish the story. Thank you so much.